Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Sitaram Ki Jai Grantharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasa Tato Jayamudhirayet. Hare Krishna. Can I have the Bhagavatam? So today is a special day, Navami, and the song we just sang is about Radha and Krishna, Radha Madhava. So who knows what is the connection between Vrindavan and Ramayana? Somebody knows? No? So there's a very nice story in the Ramayana, or actually it's from an Acharya, but he says that all the great sages, when Ram went to the forest, so many sages saw Lord Ram. Many different mystics and sages who were meditating in the forest, and they were so enamored by the beautiful form of Lord Ram. But because they were, in a mood of sages, they were very respectful and just meditating and offering respects. But these sages had such a pure attraction to Lord Ram that in the next life they became whom? They became the gopis of Vrindavan. So the gopis of Braja were actually the sages in the Ramayana. And in the same way, Krishna is equal to Ram and Sita is equal to Radharani. So there's a big connection. So today we're reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Verse 2. Yeah? Chapter 10. Ist alles drauf? Ja, 1, 2, 3. Ja. So the first word by word. Tasyapi Bhagavan Isham Sakshat Brahmamayo Harihi Ansham Shenam Chaturdagat Putratvam Pratartitaham Suraihi Rama Lakshmanam Bharata Shatrugnam Iti Samgyaya. So now line by line. Tasyapi Bhagavanesha Sakshat Brahmamayo Harihi Amsham Shena Chaturdhagat Putratvat Pratita Suraihi Rama Lakshmana Bharata Shatrugna iti samjayam Tasyapi Bhagavanesha Sakshat Brahma Mayo Harihi Angsham Shena Chaturdhagat Putratvam Pratartita Surahi Rama Lakshmana Bharata Shatrugna iti samjaya Ladies. Tasyapi Bhagavanesha Sakshat Brahma Mayo Harihi Amsham Shena Chaturdhagad Putratvam Pratita Surahi Rama Lakshmana Bharata Satrugna Iti Samjaya. Anybody else? Word by word. Tasya, of him, Maharaj Dasharat. Api, also, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishaha, all of them. Sakshat, directly. Brahmamayaha, the Supreme Parabrahman, the Absolute Truth. Harihi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Angsa Angshena, by an expansion of a plenary portion. Chaturdha, by fourfold expansions. Agat, accepted. Putratvam, sonhood. Prartitaha, being prayed for. Suraihi, by the demigods. Rama, Lord Ramachandra. Lakshmana, Lord Lakshmana. Bharata, Lord Bharata. Shatrugnaha, and Lord Shatrugna. Iti, thus, Sanyaya, by different names. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Being prayed for by the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth Himself, directly appeared with His expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrugna. These celebrated incarnations thus appeared in four forms as the sons of Maharaj Dasharat. Purport. Lord Ramachandra and his brothers, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrugna, are all Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands into many, many forms, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Although they are one and the same, Vishnu Tattva has many forms and incarnations, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5.3.9. Ramadi Murtishu Kalani Mayena Tishtam. The Lord is situated in many forms, such as Rama, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrugna, and these forms may exist in any part of His creation. All these forms exist permanently, eternally as individual personalities of Godhead, and they resemble many candles, all equally powerful. Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrugna, who being Vishnu Tattva are all equally powerful, became the sons of Maharaj Dasharat in response to prayers by the demigods. Om Agyana Timirandasya Agyanangyana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopipakanta Radhakanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangor Mamamanda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radhamadana Mohano Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Shrimadratangara Simhasanasto Shrimadrada Srila Govinda Deva Upreshtalivi Sevamana Smarami Shrimandra Sarasaramvi Vamsiva Tartastitaha Karsham Veno Sunai Gopir Gopinata Shriyastanaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So read one more time the verse. Tasyapi Bhagavanisha Sakshad Brahma Mayo Harihi Amsham Shena Chaturdhagat Putratvam Pratita Surahi Rama Lakshmana Bharata Shatrukna Iti Samyaya. Being prayed for by the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth Himself, directly appeared with His expansion and expansions of the expansion. Their holy names were Rama, Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrukna. These celebrated incarnations thus appeared in 4 forms as the son of Maharaj Dasharat. Hare Krishna. So we were reading here from the 9th canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and we know that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is gradually leading us to hear about Krishna. And Lord Krishna's pastimes are described in the 10th canto, and the canto just before the pastimes of Krishna are the pastimes of Lord Ram. So this exemplifies the very wonderful, unique position of Lord Ram. Lord Ram is different than other Vishnu Tattva incarnations, or other forms, other incarnations described in the other parts of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, where very often this incarnation will have, many arms, very powerful, different forms of Narayana, Vishnu, Vrishnigarba, or Nrsingadev. Lord Ram is actually much more approachable. He's much more approachable, and basically he is like a father to the citizens of Ayodhya. And we hear from the Acharyas, similar like we hear in the Nectar of Instruction, there is a hierarchy of the different holy places, or you could say the spiritual realms. There's a hierarchy, and Ayodhya is just above Vaikuntha and before Dwarka. So Ayodhya is in that position. It's above Vaikuntha, because in Vaikuntha the Lord Narayan is ruling an entire Vaikuntha Loka, an entire planet. There's one Narayan form for each planet. But Lord Ram is the king of his city. He has a kingdom, but basically everything revolves around the relationship between the devotees in Ayodhya and Lord Ram. So they have a very intimate connection with Ram. They can anytime go to the assembly hall of Lord Ram and see him, talk to him, ask him questions. So he's very, very approachable and very loved. And of course, one of the main, you could say, the Ramayana, of course, is full of heartbreak. If you read the Ramayana, it will stimulate a lot of spiritual heartbreak. And one of the very intense parts of the Ramayana is where Ram is going to exile. Ram is going in exile, and what happens to the residents of Ayodhya? There's a few descriptions. First of all, they all want to go with him. Ram is going to the forest in exile, and basically all of Ayodhya, they are getting out of the city, and they're telling Ram, we are coming with you, we are coming with you, we're not leaving you alone. But Ram says, no, you have to stay back, it's your duty, you have to take care of the city, and when my brother comes back, there should be somebody who is populating the city. Otherwise, when my brother comes back, or my brothers come back, Shatrugna and Bharata were gone at that time, nobody will be there. So you cannot. So he didn't allow him to come, and it was a terrible heartbreak, for all the residents of Ayodhya to see their beloved Prince Ram dressed in bark. So bark. Have you ever worn like a very rough woolen cloth? No? Like pashmina is very soft and nice. But if like you get cheap wool, and you wear it, it itches a lot. And bark is, even more rough, just wearing bark, You take from the tree the bark, and there's some special trees, they're a little bit more flexible. You can use them also for paper. So Ram was wearing, because very often in some depictions, Ram is not wearing bark, he's wearing some brahmachari dress, some orange dhoti or something. But actually in the exile, Lord Ram gave up all his normal cloth and jewelry, and he was dressing in bark trees, very austere. So that was heartbreaking for all the residents of Ayodhya. And when Lord Ram left, the whole city of Ayodhya basically went into a deep depression. And they wouldn't clean the streets anymore. They were not decorating the entrances of their houses and the gateways of the cities. Everything was desolate. People were rarely seen. Everybody was hiding in their houses. They were all in such an intense separation of Lord Ram. So, and Lord Ram is of course directly the king. So he is carrying the full responsibility. And this is the other part of which is very dramatic in the Ramayana, that Lord Ram abides by his duty as a king above everything else. So he's even putting his personal well-being, you could say, or his personal happiness below his duty of being a king. So Lord Ram is known to be Maryadama Purushottama. So he's a perfect example in following your duty without consideration for personal gain or personal comfort. If duty demands, then that's what you have to do. So even the fact that he went to exile, it is known that Ram actually was asked, after not such a long time, when Ram left Ayodhya, he went, I forgot the place, but he stayed with the sages, and then he erected his first small hermitage. And when Bharata returned, he said, we have to get Ram back. We have to go there and bring him back. But it was not only Bharat, it was all of Ayodhya. All of Ayodhya, everybody came. And the big procession, with thousands of soldiers and elephants, and also the big elephant of Maharaj Dasharath, who had passed away. Big elephant with a big umbrella, so that's the umbrella. The umbrella signifies that's the king's elephant. And when Lakshman saw this, they could see in the far distance, this tumultuous sound and dust, going up in the air. Lakshman was very concerned. He said, look, this rascal Bharata, he is sitting now in the elephant, and he surely has come to fight with us, to secure his position on the throne. That was the interpretation of Lakshman. But Ram said, no, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's sitting on the elephant. Let's wait and see. So, of course, we know that Bharata did not want to accept at all the throne, and he was very disgusted, actually, at the conspiracy her mother had made, against Lord Ram. his mother had made against Lord Ram. And so he pleaded with Ram, please, please, just come back. I don't want the kingdom. Everybody wants you back. There's no reason whatsoever why you should, remain here in the forest. Doesn't make any sense. Everybody wants you back in Ayodhya. But Lord Ram said, no, this was the last, instruction of my father. I have to go. This was the promise my father made to Kaikeyi. I have to fulfill it. I'm not going back. So then Bharata got the slippers, from Lord Ram, and he put the slippers of Lord Ram on the throne, and the padukas, and he himself did not want to be in a more elevated position than Lord Ram. So Bharata, during the years of exile, also took up the same dress as Lord Ram and was only surviving on cow urine with barley, as described. Probably not the tastiest, but probably nutritious and healthy. And not only that, Bharata was sleeping in a hole in the ground. So he made a hole in the ground, the size of his body. So he wanted to exemplify that I'm sleeping lower than Ram. Ram is sleeping in the forest somewhere on the floor. I'm sleeping a little bit lower than Ram. This was the mood of Bharat. But if we read the Ramayana, we will actually find that not only Bharat, actually every single citizen of Ayodhya came forward to Lord Ram and asked him, please come back. And it's very interesting to read this section because it's like so many different arguments they bring. All kinds of different arguments, very convincing arguments. You could also say very tempting arguments. It's like, okay, I will fast today. You make this vow in the morning, and then it's like, but today there is a Ekadashi prasadam. It's very tasty. It's quinoa. It's allowed. It's some cheese inside. You should eat maybe. It's like no. But Prabhupada says you should not be, too much austerity is not good for you. So usually, if there's some good arguments, we might be tempted to give up our vows. We might be tempted to say, yeah, actually you're right. Yeah, I should not be too harsh with myself. But Lord Ram would have none of it. He was absolutely adamant to follow the instruction of his father, the last wish of his father. And it's even described that there were even atheists living in Ayodhya. And they tried to convince Ram with their atheistic philosophy also. So everybody in Ayodhya wanted to have Ram back. But Ram, most people would very easily, give in. It's like, yes, I know it's a little bit exaggerated maybe. I should just, if everybody wants, of course, okay, then why should I be so fanatic, you could say. But Lord Ram was not going to move an inch from his duty. So Lord Ram remained in the forest for the remainder of the 14 years, and he did not give in to all the different residents of Ayodhya. And so, yes, Lord Ram is Maryadama Purushottama. He is in a position where he is carrying also, in that sense, full responsibility. When you are in a position of power, like a king or politician, you have the burden of responsibility. So in what sense you're never free of that burden. And that's why the mood of Lord Ram is different than the mood of Lord Krishna. So Lord Ram is carrying full responsibility, and he commits. He gives an example. He has only one wife. He takes this vow. Ekapatni Vrata, one wife only. Even for kings, it was common that they might have had more than one wife. And in all his dealings, he was extremely peaceful, calm, composed, pleasant. Even all kinds of situations gave, you could say, a chance to be offended, to feel, treated unfairly, whatnot. But Lord Ram always remained extremely soft. But a very powerful, unique combination, because he was so soft in nature and also such a caring, powerful king. Because until now we have been reading also about a different incarnation of the Lord, Prithu Maharaj, who also exemplified this, very dedicated attitude towards taking care of his citizens. Just like a father would fight for his family, in a similar way, Parikshit, Prithu Maharaj was ready to fight, and to go out of his way to fulfill the needs of his citizens. So Lord Ram was also like that, but he was also a very powerful warrior, Shri Prahlad Lakshmana Singari Bhagwan ki jai. He was a very powerful warrior, and basically he had no match. And in the Dandakaranya forest, there's a famous attack of, it's described, 14,000 Rakshasas, 14,000 Rakshasas who had the ability to fly, So they were basically like a swarm of bees, surrounding him. And Lord Ram was shooting arrows, And, he's a very, even Krishna's form is also described as very tender, very beautiful. It is even described when a leaf falls or a flower petal falls on Krishna's skin, it leaves a mark for some time. That's how tender his skin is. But at the same time, extremely powerful. So Nisimha is also like that. It is described over here as a Tavakara Kamalabare Nakam Adbhuta Shringam. So his hands are like soft like lotuses, taking care of Prahlad, but his nails are like thunderbolts. So very similar. Lord Ram was very calm, tender, composed, selfless. But when duty demanded, he could also be the most dangerous, ferocious warrior. So this described the bow of Lord Ram seemed like a circle. He was shooting arrows so fast that the bow, you wouldn't see the bow going back and forth. You would just see a circle, and the arrows flying in all directions. So Krishna is different. Krishna in Dwarka, in one sense you might say it's the same, Ram in Ayodhya, Krishna in Dwarka. What's the difference? There's a big difference. And the difference is that in Dwarka, actually Krishna is not king. Krishna is just the most popular person in town, you could say. The king is Ugrasena Maharaj. So he's not really the king. He doesn't have in that sense the responsibility of a king. But obviously he's the most prominent personality in Dwarka. So it's a very interesting constellation. It's different. While Lord Ram, being the king, has only one wife, Krishna has how many wives in Dwarka? 16,108. 16,108 wives. And 16,100 came from Baumasura. What was Baumasura? Yeah, no? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's Baumasura. He rescued them. This demon had kidnapped, so many queens from so many princesses, from all kingdoms. He had kidnapped 16,000 princesses. He had, in his palace. So usually, when Krishna came to, punish this king, the princesses were saying, we can't really go home. In Vedic custom, it was very conservative. If a lady had spent time outside of her house, unmarried, in a house of a different man would hesitate to marry her. So they put this plight forward to Krishna, and Krishna said, no problem, I'll marry all of you. And he gave all of them a palace. So each one of them received a palace. So this is very, very different than Lord Ram. Lord Ram would absolutely abide by societal norms, by dharma. And it's also one of the most painful parts of the Ramayana when finally, after all the struggle and Ravana has been killed, and in the Shokavan, finally, the meeting of Sita and Ram is again rearranged. And Ram hesitates to accept Sita. It's like, everybody's shocked, everybody wants to die at the moment, But Ram is doing it, exactly because of that. Krishna has no obligation. He's not the king. So he has 16,000 wives who usually nobody would have accepted. So that's the stark contrast and difference between Krishna and Ram. Ram's character is an ideal we should try to follow, to be very strict with ourselves and very lenient with others. And that's the mood of Ram. He's extremely lenient and merciful towards anybody, but extremely strict with himself. Extremely strict with himself. So, yes, Krishna is therefore not Maryadama Purushottama. Krishna is known as Lila Purushottama. So he's attractive by all the incredible pastimes he performs. And because he performs pastimes which might cross the boundaries of normal, societal norms or dharma, some people who have you could say, incomplete understanding of Krishna, they question him. So we know in the Rajasuya Yajna of Maharaj Yudhishthir, Krishna was chosen as the first person of honor to be worshipped. And we know who protested against it. Somebody knows. Shishupal. Shishupal is like, no. And there were a few, who were in the mood of Shishupal, And he basically was saying, how can we choose Krishna, He has married all these queens, who are not really, qualified. Not only that, also in Braja, he's known to be, always, dancing with the gopis, He's such a questionable character, How can we worship him first, In this great assembly, so many great sages and, great personalities are here, much older than him, senior to him. How are we choosing Krishna? And then Pitamaha Bhishma, who's known to be a brahmachari, a celibate. That's why his name is Bhishma. He's controlling his senses. He vouches for Krishna, and he says, in the midst of the gopis, I would not be a brahmachari. Krishna 100% is a brahmachari. So, like that. We cannot misunderstand Krishna because he is performing, very amazing leelas. We might have the tendency to degrade him to our position. So Lord Ram is avoiding anybody ever having the ability to criticize him in that sense. So he's very, of course then, people in the modern world don't understand Dharma, so they'll criticize him for following Dharma. So why is he so heartless, how can he do that? But actually Lord Ram was always following the Dharma. And also it's difficult to know which Dharma to follow, because you have a Dharma as a husband, you have a Dharma as a brother, sister, son, and also as a king. And as a king, ultimately, he had to put all his personal relationships, you could say, on the weight, And as a king, you should put your, duty to the people in general first, then your privileges to your family, for example. And this is common, Even the current Prime Minister of India is one of the reasons why he's so credible is because he has no family. So when you have family, the tendency might be, you take care of your family also. I'm king, I'm prime minister, president, but I'm making sure my family is good off, and buying a big house for the family and whatnot. Yes, so Lord Ram put his duty as a king above everything else, because of course his duty as a king benefits more people, you could say. So here I'll read, we already read the verse here, so I'll read one small section from this very nice book illustrated Ramayana for children, but I think it's also for adults very good. And we'll read just a small section. So we know that the Dasharatha, who is mentioned also here in this verse, so there's two sides of the story. The one side of the story we hear in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is that the what is it? How are they called? Not suras, but suras. The suras. Who are the suras? Exactly the opposite, yeah. So sura and asura. You know? Suras are those who are in a positive relationship with Krishna, who are not envious, and the asuras are those who are in a negative relationship with Krishna or God and are in competition with him. So suras and asuras. Sometimes also, of course, the suras might be called devatas, or devas. But sura is a very, fitting word because the suras, they are taking shelter, regularly sometimes of Lord Shiva and also of Lord Vishnu. And they're asking for protection or alleviation of a situation. And in this specific case, of course, Lord Ravana had become very, very powerful. So they approached Narayan and said, please, you have to do something. So always we hear this. So there's always regularly, also in the pastime of Lord Krishna, actually Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth herself, approached Lord Brahma, who then on her behalf approached Narayan for the advent of Lord Krishna. But there's also the other side of the story, and that was the desire of King Dasharat to have children. So King Dasharat, very powerful king in the solar dynasty, Surya Vamsa, he was already 60,000 years old. So he was an old man. But in Treta Yuga, 60,000 meant you're like around 60 years old. Still a little bit older already. And he had no children. That was very heavy, on his mood. He was very desperate that he had no heir. So finally he got the instruction from the sages from Vashishta to make an offering. It's a long story also, how he found a qualified priest to make that offering. But ultimately this fire ceremony was successful, and that's what we're going to read now. So King Dasharatha was very excited. Although he was 60,000 years old, he had never felt younger. Standing before him was a divine being from the higher planets. So this divine being emerged from the fire. To fulfill his long-cherished dream of becoming a father. The mountainous figure was dressed in red and black with a mane like that of a lion. Decorated with ornaments, he appeared as effulgent as the sun. He held in his hand a golden pot that dazzled more than him. It was so precious that he kept it close to his heart and approached the euphoric king. Dasharatha felt tingling excitement as he stood nervously, like a small child waiting for a sweet. In a thumping voice, the celestial being informed King Dasharatha that the sacrifice had been successful. Handing over the radiant pot to the nervous king, he said, "Divide this nectar among your 3 queens." And he disappeared as quickly as he had appeared. King Dasharatha felt like he had received the wealth of the entire world. He was holding not nectar, but all his hopes and dreams. He gave half of it to Kaushalya, his first wife, who drank it immediately. A quarter went to Kaikeyi, his most beautiful wife, who also drank it eagerly. Half of the remainder he gave to Sumitra. Being extremely virtuous and pious, Sumitra held the heavenly pot in her hands prayerfully. There was still some nectar in the pot, and after much deliberation, the king gave it to Sumitra. Filled with gratitude, Sumitra poured the double portion into her mouth, savoring the unique manna. As soon as the three queens devoured the nectar, their bodies began to glow, and they continued to glow for 12 months, till it was time to give birth. After 12 months, the three queens would finally fulfill the king's dream. The first to give birth was Kaushalya in the months of Chaitra or April, on the 9th day of the waxing moon, so Navami. At noon, Dasharatha nearly fainted with excitement when he saw the baby, soft as a petal, none other than the Lord himself. He was totally mesmerized by the baby's moon-like face, lotus eyes, and rounded cheeks. And would you believe it? A light green, translucent body. It says the Lord Rama's color is actually like kusha grass. So very often he's depicted also in blue, like all the gods are blue, you know, but they're not blue all, different colors. So Lord Rama is actually greenish. And Krishna is of course Shyam, darkish, bluish. Narayana is also described as bluish. And the Srimad is white. The world around him melted when he held the baby dearly in his arms. He was transported to another world where nothing else existed, only him and his precious baby. The next morning, Kaikeyi gave birth to her child, and by noon, Sumitra was a mother of twins. Remember, she had consumed 2 portions of nectar. So these are the 4 brothers. Kaushalya gave birth to Lord Ram. Kaikeyi gave birth to Bharata, and Sumitra gave birth to Lakshman and Shatrughna. So these are the 4 divine brothers. So I'll stop here. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanumanji Ki Jai. Maybe there's some question, comments. Yes.
Trying to remember just the last point it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam that in each age Krishna or the Lord appears in both but I can't remember the age we remember, right?
Yes.
Or is it? I really don't remember.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know the mantra by heart. Maybe somebody knows. You know the mantra?
Or maybe
But it's
just the colors. Not
Yeah, Shweta, so white. It says so Shweta. I think, as far as I remember, in Satya Yuga, the Lord appears as white, Shweta, Kapila. Then in Treta Yuga, reddish. This is a form described in the Bhagavatam. He's holding the different items for yajna, different spoons and items for yajna. He's reddish color and blonde hair, like Kapila also. Kapila Muni also is described as being blonde. Like Indra also. Indra is also blonde, and then in Dwapara Yuga, blackish, and then in Kali Yuga, gold. Yeah, but I'm not sure. That would be speculating. I know the first one is Shweta. It starts with Shweta. The first 3 I'm sure. I'm not sure about Kali Yuga. Golden, yeah? Okay, golden. So white, red, blackish or bluish, and golden. So yes, the Lord has Ananta Rupam, unlimited incarnations. So these are considered to be the, you could say, colors assigned, one of the main incarnations, because the incarnation in Treta Yuga is, teaching or showing the process of yajna. So it's a very short, I forgot exactly if it's in the 8th canto but it's somewhere in the Bhagavatam. It's a short description of this form, reddish, holding the spoons in his hand. But of course, in prominence and importance for us, Lord Ram is even more. And he's also in Treta Yuga. Yes. Yeah, Lord Ram was also born in Treta Yuga. Anything else? Translucent body, it says here. And this book is directly, like it takes as much directly, it's not speculated. It's based on Valmiki Ramayana. Yeah. Translucent, I don't know what it means. You have to look at the Sanskrit if you really want to know. But Like Kanavakana Maharaj was saying that in Vrindavan, when in April, May, it becomes super hot. It becomes very, very hot, and the sun is just scorching. And then in different parts of India, different times, the monsoon arrives. But when the first monsoon clouds arrive in Vrindavan, they're like dark, like blackish, and they eclipse the sun. And the moment the clouds eclipse the sun is still strong enough to shine through the clouds and somehow reflect the blue from the sky. And then all the residents of Vrindavan scream, Shyam, Shyam, because that's the color of Krishna. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe like an emerald, I don't know. But it says translucent here, yes. Yes. Sorry? Yes.
The Kali Yuga.
Yes.
So, what is his color described in any form?
I wouldn't know for sure, but in the Bhagavatam is depicted as bluish, but I'm not sure if it's described like that also. I wouldn't know. We know his horse is white, that's for sure. Huh? Sorry? Oh, really? That's the description? Iron color, like the Iron Age. Uh-huh. Okay. You know the quote from somewhere, or?
No, I read that in Bhagavad Gita in one slip.
Okay, okay.
In the 4 colors.
Okay, okay. That's interesting.
It was reddish, but the first one was golden.
Yeah. So the point again is that Lord appears in Anantarupam, in unlimited different forms. And we also know that there are different countings at different times, We know that Varahadev appears one time white, one time red, in different manvantaras, So it's not fixed in stone. The Lord is very dynamic. White. Yes, it's like his hairs are like white like the shining moon. Is described in the Bhagavatam. Kalki Puran, blue. So maybe one time blue, one time rusty. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Do you have any specific prayers we should pray to Lord Ramachandra today?
No, I wouldn't know any direct prayers. But of course the 9th canto contains the story of Lord Ram. So it's not so long actually. It's actually a really nice summary. All Homa Yajna is in, I think, maybe 1 chapter only or 2. So the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra is chapter 10. And chapter 11 is he's ruling the world. Yeah. So 2 chapters, all of Homa Yajna. You can read it today. And yeah, Ram bhajans, of course. But they're like in Peru we use, because in some ISKCON temples we have also Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. That we have in Bhaktivedanta Manor. In Peru we also had. In Delhi we also have. So there's a few ISKCON temples which have Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. And Prabhupada used to say, yes, we can install Ram, but we might still, when people come, we might still tell them about Krishna instead of Ram. But they are attracted to Ram, we tell them about Krishna, It's our mood is mainly Krishna. And in many temples, this song Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram became very popular. But actually, it's a movie song. It is spiritual, but it's a movie song. So some conservative devotees were saying we should not sing it in the temple. But Sundar Shah made a nice kirtan today. So yes, yes.
This is not a movie song.
Okay.
I'd like to correct it. It's a bhajan from Tulsidas.
But the adaptation, which is popular.
It was adapted from
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi, which eventually became a movie song.
Yes.
It's a bhajan from Tulsidas.
Yes, I mean the origin for sure, but the origin is a little bit different. I don't know, but I read once about the details that it has an origin in Tulsidas, but the short version, which is popular, is from a movie. Yeah. Yes. We should look the original one. Yes. Thank you very much. Anything else? Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai. Shri Ram Navami Mahamahotsava ki jai. So we'll continue here at 12. We will have the Abhishekam. Ram was born at 12. The Abhishekam at 12. Then at 1 we will have the Arati. Then we have a lecture by Narahari Mataji, Ram Katha, and then at 2 p.m. we will have lunch prasadam. And then at 5:30 again we will have a lecture here in the temple room.
Is there breakfast for those who are not fasting?
Yes, there's breakfast for those who are not fasting. It's recommended to fast until noon today, but if you are hungry or children are exempted anyways, there is breakfast downstairs. Hare Krishna.